Qatar stands ready to engage in a negotiations process with a clear framework and set of principles that guarantee that our sovereignty is not infringed upon.
First came the blockade, then the demands, then the response. Qatar says what the GCC ordered it to do was unrealistic and unachievable. They won't be closing Al Jazeera, a Turkish army base, or scaling back ties to Iran and so-called terror groups. In fact, the Qatari foreign minister says the fight against terror is the country's biggest priority. Saudi Arabia and its allies have been meeting in Cairo to plan their next move. And are we likely to see an escalation in what's already the worst diplomatic crisis in the Gulf in decades? Well, to discuss this, I'm joined now from London by Qatar's ambassador to Australia, Nasser bin Hamad Mubarak Al Khalifa. Sir, good to have you on the program. We heard from your foreign minister that your position is unchanged, but are you considering maybe meeting them halfway, or maybe even 10% of the way, to give the Saudis and their GCC allies something, anything, because these are very powerful countries making very serious threats against you?
First of all, thank you for having me, sir. And as to our position are very clear. It was sent to the parties involved in the blockade of Qatar, i.e. the Saudis and the Emiratis and Bahrain and Egypt. And we are ready to negotiate and to discuss any issues which concern their security or any other issues which they feel uncomfortable with. But there are certain issues which cannot be negotiated, and these include what is our rights under the Charter of the United Nations, i.e. our sovereignty, our independence, our right to run our foreign policy according to the interest of our people. Having said that, we are ready to discuss any issues. We are ready to sit with them anywhere. We are ready to accept any arbitration. We are ready to facilitate the work of the Kuwaiti under Sheikh Sabah, Al-Sabah. And we are even ready to have the United Nations involvement to solve these issues. And to find out who really have the right and who have not, because we found ourselves just being under blockade, having relation with our countries being severed, and having our people under severe condition.
Sir, did the blockade come to you as a shock?
Yes, sir, because a few days before that, you know, the Emir was with the GCC leadership for their summit. Then they had summit with the President of the United States, where they agreed on certain principles to fight terrorism and to cooperate. And everybody agreed to that. And then after that, there was a larger meeting, which included all the Islamic states and the President of the United States. And the Emir was there, and we all agreed to the same principle, and we accepted all our obligations, and everything seemed to be right. A few days later, we woke up after midnight in Ramadan while we were fasting to find out somebody hacked into our national news agencies and fabricated a speech which His Highness never said. And when we were able to correct things, and we contacted the Saudis, the Emiratis, and all the GCC, and we said, we've been under attack. There was a cyber attack, and somebody put disinformation. And of course, and we contacted you, we contacted all the international agencies, and everybody was kind enough to echo what we have said, except the Saudi press and the UAE press, and the Egyptian and the Bahrainis.
Right. Given that this came as a shock to you, they took you by surprise, is the country making contingency plans for maybe an invasion or a coup attempt from the Saudis and their allies? Is that what's in the thinking right now?
Well, you know, thanks God, we were able to foil really a regime change. That's what they were after, because the way their campaign took place, the way they managed it, the way they were trying to discredit our system, our political system, our economic system, was really intended to have regime change. And that's why all the citizens of Qatar, they rallied behind their leadership, because they knew that the whole fabrication was intended to attack our leadership. So that is behind us now. Now, concerning any other erroneous activities by these parties, we are ready for any contingencies. We don't expect any invasion, but if somebody is thinking of that will be, you know, a repetition of what Saddam Hussein have done in 1999.
Are you sure, though? Are you sure that the Americans or are you sure that the international community would rally to your defense as they did to defend Kuwait? Because it seems as if they have a lot of friends, and maybe the United States is on their side.
I think all our friends, including the American, the British, the European Union, everybody, the Russian and the Chinese and the Japanese, I think they are all supporting our position, and they will not allow such event to take place. Qatar now is a part of an international communities which you know, cannot allow a crisis to really get out of hand, and you know, and we are very sure of ourselves.
Yes, Ambassador, as you mentioned, you're a sovereign country, you're an independent country, that is not in question. But given that the coalition has major problems with you based on your policies, they have problems with Qatar hosting the Muslim Brotherhood, with Qatar hosting Hamas, for example, with Qatar maybe having slightly warmer ties with Tehran than others. Given all of that, are there any regrets that maybe those policies were wrong, those policies weren't worth the trouble?
We haven't made mistakes to have regrets here. When it comes to the Muslim Brotherhood are rolling in Morocco. They are in the government. They are rolling. They are part of the government in Tunis. They are part of the legislative body of Kuwait, and also in the government. They are also in the legislative body of Bahrain, and they are in other countries. So to us, I mean, these Muslim Brotherhood are not criminalized under the United Nations or under the majority of countries in the world. If these 3 countries or 4 countries want to criminalize them, that is their business. But they cannot impose on us something which has no place in reality and no place under international law. This is one. When it comes to Hamas and to other issues, they never mentioned Hamas now in their demands. But Hamas, there are 1 or 2 people, not many people. They are all political figures. And I think they have forgotten that we were asked by the American to welcome Hamas in Qatar, because the other venue would be Tehran. So, you know, some of their allegations really have no basis. I mean, it is just fabrication to really impose their will on us, to out-resource our foreign policy, to make us a non-existent state, just in name, but not in reality.
Sir, it's been a pleasure talking to you, Ambassador Nasser bin Hamad Mubarak Al Khalifa. Thank you for taking the time.